Published on DMsguild, The Secret of Skyhorn Lighthouse is a very highly rated, very highly downloaded adventure from the Arcane Library. Welcome back, fellow Game Masters, to Fellowship Friday, where this week we're taking another look at another adventure from another creator that I look up to and respect in the world of Dungeons & Dragons. This time it comes from Kelsey Dion, aka the Arcane Library. All her links for her social media will be in the description below, but this adventure takes the cake. It's exceptional in every way, and right there you could just stop and go and leave. But let me continue and let's break this thing down so you know what you're getting into with The Secret of Skyhorn Lighthouse. The Adventure of Skyhorn Lighthouse is an adventure for 5 level 5 adventurers who are sent to find a missing merchant ship, or any other hook that might be provided in the book. There are several that you can use. The hunt for this missing merchant ship leads them to Skyhorn Lighthouse, which they find is besieged by eelfolk. Eelfolk are a homebrew creation created by the Arcane Library for her books and her purposes and for use of the community. The eelfolk's presence has been causing a lot of trouble for the keeper of the lighthouse, as well as all the ships in the area, by making it a very dangerous place to be. And that's where the secret comes in and the players come in. How are these eelfolk causing problems? How can they be stopped? And what is really the secret of Skyhorn Lighthouse? When I got The Secret of Skyhorn Lighthouse, the first thing I noticed was its exceptional visual design. This thing, just in the PDF form, looks like it could be something that's published by Wizards of the Coast, and it's actually even better than the stuff they put out. So, kudos to that. It's just an amazing design, and it was a pleasure reading through the book because of its design and the layout of the story. Now, Kelsey approached this story with a certain goal in mind, and that was to make an adventure that was easy to run for DMs with minimal preparation. And because of that, she chose a certain format for each encounter, which, reading it and looking at it, serves its purpose very well, and I think is a great way to do this, that I'm probably going to steal this format for my own stuff when I get writing my adventures. The adventure itself is pretty short, but the book seems longer, and that's because each encounter is broken into its own page, or half a page, depending on how big the encounter actually is, and each encounter has several subcategories that the DM can read quickly to get a quick overview of the situation, or can dive in and find more of the rulings and how to run the situation, depending on how much time to prep they have. Each encounter has a brief breakdown of the encounter, kind of a synopsis of what could happen, what would happen in the situation, that is also descriptive enough that you could use it and you could read some of this stuff out loud to the players, or if you're more of an improvisational DM, you could take this information and ad-lib and make it your own. I think it's just enough description. Each encounter has a section called development that is something for the DM. It's information that they need to know, that they can or cannot share with the players. It's up to the DM's discretion, but it's good information about how the encounter may run, or kind of secrets of the encounter. As kind of a punctuation mark for each encounter, there's a dramatic question that is usually, what will the end result be? And when that question is resolved, that's when you know the encounter is finished. Some of these questions were, how will the players get past these eelfolk? Or, how do the players get to the lighthouse? One part I really enjoyed was each encounter had this block that was combat related. It had tactics of combat and broke it down simple enough that a DM could run it and make things a little more interesting for the players, even without really knowing the characters or the monsters that they're going to be controlling. And this just ties into the fact that you don't need a lot of prep time for this adventure, which is great. In addition to the combat encounters, there's of course treasures or items that the players can find after the encounter or during the encounter that is listed out, so it doesn't have a whole lot of guesswork for you to do. And it has a transition section that I thought was a little too restrictive. It basically broke down the options that the players would have at the end of the encounter. From a standpoint of not having a lot of time to prepare and just having to run it is great. You can see where the players might go, kind of like a choose your own adventure scenario. But at the same time, knowing the players I play with would not pick those. They would probably do something else. But it's nice that it's there. It's similar to my last review about Pickled Dragon and his overly descriptive nature. It's fine, it's not hurting anyone, and it does make it easier to run the game on the fly. Overall, this encounter design is what stood out to me for this book. It was a whole different style that I hadn't seen before, and it really kind of struck me as this is a good way to design an encounter for new DMs and experienced DMs who don't have a lot of time. It's just a solid, well-rounded way of doing things. The book itself also provided maps. There are maps you can print out and use. There are also digital maps if you wanted to do a Roll20 or a Fantasy Grounds sort of situation. With this encounter, you could do that easily with the provided materials from DMsguild. And a couple last-minute thoughts on this whole adventure. Didn't get into a lot of details because I just had a lot of fun reading it, and it is, dealing with eel folk. The eel folk stood out to me as a very well-designed creature for the homebrew race. They had a lot of depth to the society that was listed in the book, which was really neat to see. They had different levels of eel folk, which we always like to have multiple options if we're having creatures to fight. That's why you see different levels of, say, drow. You have the drow, then you have drow mages, and etc. in the book, and we like to have those different stat blocks. And she did that with the eel folk. There are like 4 different types of eel folk that you can deal with, and they're all pretty neat and very unique in certain ways, but they do all share similar traits that ties them all together. One of the cool features of eel folk is they have this kind of death blast. When they die, they explode with electrical energy. That means the players need to make some saving throws to avoid taking damage from that. I like these creatures. I'm going to put them in my games, so thank you for that. And last, the NPCs that the players will encounter are interesting on their own. They have their own goals and wants and demeanors that comes across through the writing of the book. So, is this adventure worth it? Absolutely, because it's free. I think it's free. I don't remember if I paid for this. I believe it's free. It's been downloaded over 40,000 times on DMsguild. So with those kind of downloads and the high ratings it has, it's gotta be good. You can take this adventure, put it in any coastal town or city, and have a ready-made to-go adventure for the players. You can just drop this in your campaign world and they would probably have a good time playing it. And you could introduce some other things and have them find some magic items on the way. It's a really nice, very well-written adventure, perfect for throwing into your campaign. And it's good for learning how to write an adventure, so keep that in mind as well. So that has been Fellowship Friday. I hope this has helped. I hope you go check out The Secret of Skyhorn Lighthouse on the DMsguild. Of course, the link will be in the description below. I've been Richard Quiner. Thank you for watching.